And now we'll take questions, if there are.
Can you speak a little bit to the timing of this announcement, especially since Britton and McGlasson are still going through the court process?
Well, this action that we took is based on our the code of ethics that all athletes sign, and based on the behavior in the bar that night, they're in violation of that code of ethics, and that's the basis for the action.
Any particular code in general that they broke, or was there a number of them?
Well, as we said in the statement, specifically there was high-risk use of alcohol. Athletes are held to a different standard, and they need to be cognizant of that at all times.
Was it simply because of the use of alcohol, or was there more to it?
I'd really prefer not to get into the actual details of the violations of the code of conduct. The students actually have some right to privacy in that being a discipline situation.
Part of it also is the fact that this incident is still under investigation by the Menominee Police Department, which has done a wonderful job in this area. And so we really, and obviously we have 2 court cases, possibly 3 that are going through. So we can't do anything that's going to hinder that investigation. We're cooperating with the Menominee Police Department. They've cooperated with us, but you know we simply can't get into what specific actions happened in the logjam that night. We just can't do that.
As far as the names of the 8 players that have been ruled ineligible,
We're not going to release them.
not releasing them.
There was rumor running around that perhaps Stout was considering not having a hockey team this year. Was that ever under consideration?
We discussed the entire range, Pam, of actions to be taken, and we settled on the fact that these are individuals in the logjam in violation of a very strong code of ethics, and the majority of hockey players weren't there. Some weren't even in town. So we decided that we would punish the individuals, not the team. So we will play hockey this year.
Does the hockey team have a history of bad behavior, or some individual players? I mean, can you address that at all? I mean, or is this a first-time incident?
I've been around since we reinstated hockey, even when it was a club sport. And to my knowledge, this is the first incident we've ever had that's really negative with hockey players or with hockey players.
Really been a model program.
We have a model coach. It's been a model program. We've had young men on that team get national recognition for service beyond playing hockey. So I think that this is an aberration, a tragedy, but we're going to learn from this and grow from it.
Can you tell us how you informed, and I'm assuming you've informed Britton, McGlasson, and the 8 others, how you informed them and when?
They were informed this morning. So these decisions really, after much contemplation, were told to the students that they were not playing hockey this year this morning.
What type of message do you hope this sends to other athletes who may partake in this type of high-risk alcohol use?
I'll reiterate what Phil said. We hold athletes to a higher level of responsibility. And I think for the most part, they understand that and they react to it in a positive way. I think simply the message will be reiterated that they are ambassadors to this university in a very significant way. And let this tragedy reinforce their good behavior, their safe behavior. It's all about safe behavior in the final analysis. And high-risk use of alcohol endangers them.
Can you speak to the future of the program at all? I mean, 8, 9, 10 players not eligible this year, that's a pretty big hit to a roster of any sports program, let alone hockey.
It will be a challenge. It will be a real challenge. We have a fantastic coach in Terry Watkins, who 2 years ago took a group to the Frozen Four. I think that we have a very strong core of a hockey team that will be able to bounce back from this, and I think that certainly it will hurt, but I think that the program will endure.
Was the coach involved at all in this decision?
Yes.
How so?
In really looking at all the events that happened that night, much conversation and opinion, and we reached out to everyone, from the coach to the athletic director to everyone, to take a look at this whole incident and really vet what to do. Did we take the recommendations of the coach? That's a different story. But was he involved in the decisions and the decision-making process? Absolutely.
But I would say that he is comfortable with
Oh,
this.
Yes, yes.
So we reached a decision and he agreed.
Can you speak to what extent this has really sullied the campus hockey team's reputation? And I guess, how do you repair that? How do you go forward from that? And also, I want to kind of ask, and I'm going to ask that twofold. There's been quite a number of articles written about, the alcohol, kind of trying to cut alcohol, high alcohol use or extensive use of alcohol. What kind of impact did it have shortly after that we have this incident occur where alcohol is believed to have been a factor? I don't ask like 3 questions.
I tried to address the alcohol issue, but Joan Thomas is sitting in the audience, and she's going to head our renewed effort that we began this last year. It's an effort that's going to be very broad-based, an effort that will include Menominee, the community of Menominee, it will include Stout, it will include our faculty, our staff, our students. It will include hopefully the Tavern League, members of the Tavern League, those that are affected by that. We're going to we have a program we've put together that's going to be consistently applied across over the next years to try to educate young people that this is not safe behavior. So I think it's going to have a positive impact on the whole culture of alcohol use and abuse. But we're trying to focus on a safe environment. That's what we want to focus on, to convince young people that excessive use simply isn't safe for them. Does it sully the reputation of the hockey team? Certainly it does. But the character of a team is the character of overcoming adversity. And this team will do it. They have an excellent coach, some excellent hockey players, and they will bounce back from this. But it'll take a lot of effort, a lot of work, and they're up to it.
I think that's a great question, Pam. And I think that one of the reasons that any student that was in the log jam that night were included in this is that there are no players currently on that team that had anything to do, to our knowledge, and from what we looked at the reports, had anything to do with the tragedy that happened that night. So the people that are on the ice were completely separated from this. They had no involvement.
Are we to then assume that Rudy Hartwigson was either in the log jam or among these 8?
I don't want to speak to individuals.
Can you tell us at all about the 8 and Britton and McGlasson standing as students at UW-Stout, do they still go here?
The two accused do not. The third, Joan Thomas, is in the audience. Three.
We're speaking to students who are currently enrolled. The university is looking at students from a Chapter 17 perspective, but the conclusions have not been made.
But to reiterate, the 8 players that will not play this year is based on the athletic code of ethics, not on Chapter 17.
There's a whole separate process.
Yes.
The student disciplinary process is totally separate from this. This is based on basically the athletic code. as everybody knows. And we can't talk about student enrollment status. And a couple of lawyers for the two accused have said that they've been suspended from the university. That's been reported in the paper. We can't talk about that. Prevented by federal law from talking about that. We're not going to talk about it. But there is a student disciplinary process which we implement when appropriate.
Any further steps you're taking as a university to curb high alcohol, high-risk alcohol use?
It's pretty all-inclusive effort we're making. And we know that about 80% of our students don't drink or drink moderately. 20% drink more heavily. That 20%, a small slice, truly use high-risk behaviors. And we're trying to attack that group.
Has anything like this ever happened in the history of the university before?
Pardon me?
Has anything like this ever happened in the university, the history of the university?
My first year, well, we had a tragedy way back in the 1990s.
That involved rugby,
Yeah.
which was not, I don't believe, an athletic team at that point.
No, that was a club, and that was an accident.
Right.
We took dramatic action against the club, suspended for 5 years.
Are any hockey practices or games going to be rescheduled or canceled at all in light of any of this? Or is it just everything is as scheduled?
I'm not sure. I don't know the answer to that.
Season hasn't started yet.
Tryouts are this week.
That they will go on a schedule?
The tryouts, yes.
Further questions?
Will you look at changing the code of ethics at all, or are you satisfied with how that is
It's a
set up?
strong code of ethics, and it's supposed to be reviewed, but I've read it carefully a lot the last 2 weeks. It's rather strong. I think they will look at it again now. The AD will look at it, and the department. I don't know if the plan changes. We haven't been, maybe it's going to be better.
We feel it worked well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You may have answered this, but I want to ask it again just in case. Are any other Stout athletics, will they face any kind of restrictions, behavioral restrictions because of what happened with this team?
And these are individuals who are taking the
Okay.
action. Yeah.
So-
Make sure it's clear.
Okay.
Each one of our coaches has individually talked with every member of the team before this happened about the code of conduct, about how they conduct themselves. And we really try to hammer home to these students that they are ambassadors of the institution.
Questions? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you.